Top mix engineers make vocal reverb sound effortless, but how? Are they using special plugins? Do they have a secret formula? Well, grab yourself a coffee, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal exactly how it's done. The Valhalla Vintage Verb is one of the standards in pro mixing these days. It's pretty cheap, but don't let that make you think that it's that bad, because it's amazing. Everyone's using it, and I'm going to show you in this video how you can get the most out of it, and then I'm going to give you a free preset at the end so that you can check that out and use it on your vocals so they sound insane every single time. So let me explain to you the basics of the Valhalla Vintage Verb so that you can use it like a reverb king or queen. So first of all, we've got the big knob in the middle, which is the decay time, which is obviously the length of the reverb, and that goes up in seconds. You can see if I move that around. Then we have a pre-delay on the left here, which is essentially a delay between the hit of the sound and how long until the reverb comes in. Mix knob here. When you're selecting a reverb, when you're listening to a reverb on your sound, it helps if you have that 100% because you're hearing full reverb, and then you just blend it in as you need from ear what you like. There's a mode here, which are all the different types of reverbs, and the color they have a 70s, 80s and a now, so that's just different styles of reverb that you can select. Next up, we have the dampening section. These dampening knobs control how quickly high and low frequencies fade in the reverb tail. Obviously, the high damping reduces the brightness, the top end, which can make the reverb sound warmer as it fades out. And the low damping does the bass, so that's how much bass is absorbed into the reverb. So basically, you can control how bright or dark the reverb sounds as the tail starts fading away. So let's put the mix to 100% and let me show you how that dampening works in reality so you can hear whether we cut the tops or the lows and how we can craft the sound. So you can really tune up the sound there with that. You can also use the shape and diffusion for the size of the room and how early the reflections are, how late the reflections are, how quickly they come in with the attack there. So there's loads of ways you can play with the sound. Also, there's a modulation. These are all just to craft the sound of the reverb. You've also got this EQ section at the end, which is really cool, especially on vocals, where you can cut the tops and the bottoms. But what I want to show you is how these EQ curves are on here, because it's not exactly what it does on the tin. So just to show you the EQ section, now I prefer personally when I have the reverb on an aux channel to have my own EQ organising the reverb so that I can either cut the lows off and cut the highs off however I want, and sometimes I have it before or after the reverb. So let me just show you why that is, because if I try and do it on the Valhalla, it still leaves a lot of the signal there, so I'm not getting as much shape and as tight as I want. If I say, for instance, like I've done here, set it to 500 hertz and I turn that on, you can see that it just drops away at the point where I want it to drop away. And if I did that on here, then you can see I'm low cutting at 1.3K and I've still got loads of signal in there. So for me, I'd rather use an EQ, an actual EQ, before or after the reverb. So that EQ thing is just something to be aware of. I'm not saying don't use it, but just be aware of it. Right, now I've explained about how it works. Let me show you some really killer settings so that you can get a really nice, smooth, soft vocal every single time. So I've got a female dry vocal here. Let's put some settings on it so that we can get a super smooth vocal. This is how it sounds dry.
Can't let you get away. I'm falling deep. I can't stop.
So sounds a little bit boring, a little bit dull. Let's put some reverb on. So first of all, I'm going to choose a mode, which I know I like the plate on this. So let's go with that for the vocal. And then the color 1970s is really cool on this. So let's choose that. Then let's put the mix up to around 100% so we can hear how it sounds with the decay. And we're just going to play with the dampening a little bit just so that we can sort of really get the sound honed in.
Can't let you get away. I'm falling deep. I can't stop riding on your wave. I'm falling deep, deeper in love. Can't let you get away.
I like that. It sounds very sort of, it's not too long, but it's not too short. So we've got a nice balance there. Let's bring the mix down to 0 and then blend it in so that we can get it a nice balance between wet and dry.
Can't let you get away. I'm falling deep. I can't stop riding on your wave. I'm falling deep, deeper in love.
Okay, that's pretty good. Let's put a bit of pre-delay on.
Can't let you get away. I'm falling deep. I can't stop riding on your wave. Can't let you get away. I'm falling deep. I can't stop riding on your wave. I'm falling deep, deeper in love. Can't let you get away.
So I just changed the shape of the room there just to give it 100% for loads. I just brought the mix down a little bit to 15% because as I added that pre-delay, it sounded like it was doing a little bit too much. So I just brought the mix down a touch. Now I'm just going to take some of these high frequencies out on the high cut. So I'm just going to do a bit of EQ on the end so that we're not having too many of those highs going on. So I'm just going to bring that down to around 10k and then bring that one up so we're losing some of the lower stuff, but not too much of the lower stuff. As I said, it's not really cutting that much off when I'm using this EQ, but I just want to cut a little bit just to trim it.
Can't let you get away. I'm falling deep. I can't stop riding on your wave. I'm falling deep, deeper in love. Can't let you get away. I'm falling deep. I can't stop.
So I've saved this preset as Streaky Soft Vocal. You can download it from a link in the description. It's part of my Valhalla preset pack, which you can also download from streakyacademy.com. As you'll see, there's loads and loads of different ones within there. So grab that from Streaky Academy, but you can also grab this free preset from the link in the description. If you want to learn another pro way of using reverb, then check this next video out. It's absolute killer and a must-have.